This is Real Life with Susan Harf. Hi everyone, I'm Rose Martin, and thanks for joining us for tools and strategies from Susan, our life coach, that we can adapt to live our very best life. Like you, I can't wait to hear what she's thinking about sharing with us today. Hi Susan.
Hello Rose, I'm happy to see you, and I'm thrilled to see you also. Today I'm thinking about, I love my new neighbors and I haven't met them yet.
Oh, I love my new neighbors and I haven't met them yet. I'm anxious to see where this one's going.
So that's what I'm calling our show today, but in truth, the impact is not just for neighbors, but about a lot of people that we're going to meet in our life. So what I really mean by this topic is we can make a decision about how we want to regard people or how important we want the relationship to be before we meet them. And the advantage to doing that is that then your relationship is not based on how they act. So, for instance, I made a decision before I met I have two sons, and both of my sons are married, and both of those women have parents. And I made a decision that I was going to have a relationship with both of those sets of parents before I met them.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Now, I am very fortunate because those sets of parents I'm referring to happen to be close friends of mine. I would choose them even if I had never met my daughter-in-laws.
Yeah,
that's a bonus.
You like them and they like you. That's good.
And that's a bonus, and I recognize that. But I made the decision before I met them that I was going to have a relationship, and to tell you the truth, and I've done that with other relationships in my life, and I've got to tell you, there are some relationships that don't work out as well as this has, my daughter-in-law's parents. In other words, I may not have chosen them for friends in other relationships. Like, let's say a boss of mine. Okay, I've had many bosses over the years that I kind of could have taken or left, but I made a decision that I was going to have a relationship with those bosses, and it was going to be a positive one. We didn't necessarily have a lot in common, but we had enough in common to suggest that this relationship in my mind was important and it was going to work. So
even before you met them,
before I met them,
before it got started, no preconceived notions of anything except it's going to be positive, it's going to be good. Okay.
That's right. And you know what? In the end, you do have a lot in common, because even when it seems like you don't, if what we have in common is I want this to work and so do you, that's enough in common.
Oh,
so even if my neighbor is not somebody that I've decided that I would love to live next door to, I want to have a pleasant relationship when I leave the house every day and I say, hello, have a nice day. I want that, and I've decided that's enough of something to have in common to say this is going to work. So there are certain relationships in my life that I've made a decision about. And what's important about that is I'm not relying on them. I'm not relying on the way they act. I'm not relying on what they say. I'm not relying on what's important to them. It's important to me. So that is enough for me to have made the decision I'm going to have a relationship with them.
So that could apply, actually, college students who are going off to college are already going to decide, I'm going to have the best year, I'm going to have great roommates, it's the best teachers and faculty, as opposed to someone who's starting a new job, right? I'm going to enjoy my coworkers, I'm going to have a positive experience, I've worked hard in my life and career to get this opportunity.
The only difference is that you don't have to say I'm going to have great roommates. You can say, my roommate might be somebody who's introverted, doesn't like the same things I do, doesn't like the same music I like, doesn't have the same friends I might have. There can be a lot about us that's different, but I'm going to have a relationship with that roommate. In fact, that did happen to me.
Really?
Yeah. One of my roommates was very shy. I'm not.
Really?
Very qui-
Really? I don't think anyone picked up on that.
Very quiet. I'm not.
Again.
Didn't really like the opposite sex. She was afraid of dating. She was afraid of dating. And I ended up fixing her up with her first boyfriend.
Oh.
So she was more passive. I'm more assertive. She was quiet. I'm not. I was not afraid of the opposite sex. She was. She was very different than I was. She grew up in a very tiny, small town, and I grew up in a larger city. There were things about us that were fundamentally different, but I had a wonderful relationship with her, and we didn't have to be exactly alike in order to have a good relationship. So the answer is not I love my roommates, I'm going to have a great year, or I'm going to have wonderful roommates. Instead, it can be, I'm going to have a roommate. They may be like me, they may not be like me, but I'm going to get along with them.
So that would be the same thing. Let's say people who are relocating because of job changes, or they need to. You move to a new town, as you've been, and you're trying to get to know people, and you're getting to know a new culture,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
using that same kind of using the same principle,
Yeah.
to what you're going to do.
Exactly. And it is an approach. And what I find is, I don't think that it's a coincidence that I end up liking them besides. That they don't have to be like me in order to make that decision. To make the decision you like your new neighbor, they don't have to be like you. To make the decision that this relationship is going to be an important one to me, like for instance, the relationship with my daughter-in-laws and the relationship with their parents. I made a decision that those relationships were going to be important to me. I made a decision about my in-laws before I met them. I was going to get along with my in-laws, period. That's it.
So you're giving marriage advice to the viewers too here today, not only personal advice. This is really reverberating across any relationship you are going to be involved in, really.
Yes, and yet not everyone values the same things. Like for instance, I have colleagues who have said to me, we have to be able to be work relations. We have to be able to work together and get it done, get the work done. We don't have to be friends. I sort of go one step beyond that, but it's okay the way they think too. So if they believe they don't have to have a strong relationship with people they work with, that's okay with me, and then I take my cues from them. So, in
But
other
you won't
words,
change. You're still going to be positive.
Exactly. I'm not going to change.
Because that's
No.
something that you've already put in place that is important to you and your value system.
Exactly.
What does that do for us when we approach a new situation or a new people with that mindset?
What it does is it opens ourselves up for the possibilities. And it doesn't box us in to say, I can be friends with them if they like chocolate chip cookies. I can be friends with them if they like to swim. If, I can be only friends with them if they like the kind of music I do. No, you can be friends with people, you can respect people, you can be colleagues with people. You can have a functional relationship with people who don't necessarily value the exact same things you do. All they have to do is be authentic. They have to show you who they are in order for you to then say, that's okay with me.
And will you know that by just a gut feeling?
Some people don't. I personally do. I do have a gut feeling about people that is usually correct. But
is there something
not everyone does.
Is there something you could teach us to help us know?
I think time is our friend. I tell people who are in relationships, for instance, romantic relationships, and it seems to be moving very quickly, I say, you don't have to move so quickly. In fact, what I say is, you really should get to know someone over a period of all the seasons before you really
All
truly
the seasons.
make,
I like that.
before you make a true decision about whether this is who you think they are. So I think that relationships deserve that kind of time. But in the meantime, I believe you can operate on the supposition that this is going to be good because I want it to be. They don't need to be a certain anything fill in the blank in order for me to feel that way about them.
I love that attitude. This is going to be good because I want it to be.
That's right. I want it to be.
I want it to be, and it's going to be good.
And I'm going to do my share in making it good. See, that's the other thing, is that I make the decision that this relationship is important to me. So if my neighbor plays loud music, let's say I'm in an apartment and the neighbor's playing loud music, I've decided I'm not going to define my relationship based on how loud their music is. That's not going to be a criteria. They don't have to do anything in order for me to make that decision. I've decided I like them, period. I haven't met them yet. I don't care what their music is. I don't care how loud it is. And if you like them, then you have respect for them. If you have respect for them, you can knock on their door and say, you know what, I really like your music, but I don't love it that loud. Could you please turn it down a little bit? But you can't necessarily speak that way to somebody that you don't like.
Ooh, that's good. Because then they would know you don't like them, and you bring up barriers too.
Correct.
Oh,
of course.
Susan, you're good.
Not always.
You're
but
good.
Sometimes.
Oh, thank you so much. Special thanks, obviously. We're learning so much, aren't we? If you want to reach Susan, you want to email her, you want to give her an idea, a topic, or just ask her a question, you can reach her at reallife@blueridgepbs.org. It's been insightful. It's been wonderful. We're learning so much. Please join us next time. And until then, let's all go out, take her advice, and live our best lives.